So now we're going to divide a polynomial by another polynomial, in this case a binomial, 2 terms. Often we'll divide by 2 terms, but sometimes more. Okay? So the important thing, one of the important things to keep in mind when you look at this polynomial, you want to make sure that the exponents are in decreasing order. So I look at this, 13x minus 35 plus 12x squared. X squared is my highest exponent. So I'm going to write 12x squared. Then my next exponent would be 13x. And then the constant always goes last. The constant goes last. That goes inside the division house. And we're going to write the 3x plus 7 on the outside. Mostly we're going to focus on the 3x. The 7 is going to come into it, but when you actually divide, you ask yourself, how many times does 3x go into 12x squared? Well, 3 goes into 12 4 times. And then x into x squared. When I take x squared and I divide by x, those are the same base, so I subtract the exponents and I get x. Okay, so 3x into 12x squared went 4x times. If you multiply these two together, you get 12x squared. Now we're going to take this 4x and we're going to multiply it by both terms. So 4x times 3x is 12x squared. We already knew that. And 4x times 7 is 28x. Notice that these first terms match. They've got to match. Okay? So our first step, first we did 3x into 12x squared. We divided. Then we multiplied. Now we're going to subtract. But we've got to be careful here. You guys know that subtraction always messes us up. We're actually subtracting this whole thing, not just the first term. So what I do, just so my brain can see it, is I circle that subtraction sign. That lets me know that there's really parentheses around here that I haven't written. Okay? So 12x squared minus 12x squared, 0, goes away. That should always happen. That first term should go away. 13x minus 28x is negative 15x. Okay? So that was my subtraction step. And the next thing we're going to do, just like long division of numbers, we're going to bring down the last, or the next term. In this case, it's the last term. So we're going to bring down the minus 35. Okay? Now we're going to go through this whole thing again. We're going to divide 3x into negative 15x. Well, 3 goes into negative 15, negative 5 times. These x's would cancel, right? X over x would cancel. So we divided. Now we're going to multiply. Negative 5. Watch your signs here. If you miss a sign, you're going to miss everything. So negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. Remember, that first term should always match. And then negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. Notice these match. What happens when you subtract two things that are equal? It becomes 0, right? So negative 15 minus a negative 15, that would be minus a negative, which is plus, gone. Negative 35 minus a negative 35, that would be plus, that's gone. So this has a remainder of 0. So this up here, this quotient, that's our answer. 12x squared plus 13x minus 35 divided by 3x plus 7 gives us 4x minus 5. In fact, we could multiply these two things and we should get what we started with. This one is the same sort of thing. It's just written as a fraction, or with a fraction bar instead of the division symbol, but we're going to do the same thing. Are the exponents in order? They are. So we're just going to copy. We're going to put that inside the house. We're going to put the divisor on the outside of the house. Remember your steps are divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. I don't know if you guys have heard this. There was a time with long division when like 5th graders were taught dad, mom, sister, brother. Okay, that's what you're doing here. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Dad, mom, sister, brother. So we ask, how many times does x go into x squared? Well, those have the same base, so we subtract the exponents, and it goes x times. Next, we're going to multiply. X times x is x squared. X times negative 8 is negative 8x. That was multiply. What's next? Subtract. Remember, you're subtracting everything. If you miss a sign in polynomial long division, your life's going to be miserable. So make sure you subtract everything. X squared minus x squared goes away. That first term should always disappear. Negative 12 minus a negative 8. So minus a negative becomes plus. So negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4x. Then the last step, bring down. Do it again. X into negative 4x. Those x's would cancel, and all we would be left with is negative 4. Then we're going to multiply. Negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 8, plus 32. Notice these match, so when you subtract something from itself, you get 0. So x squared minus 12x plus 32 divided by x minus 8, our quotient, our answer, is x minus 4. This one looks a little different. This 2a cubed plus 5 looks so small, so tiny, but the fact that there's an a cubed here means there also needs to be an a squared and an a. So the next rule that we need to learn, not only do the exponents have to be in order, we have to fill in any missing exponents. Okay? So when I write this 2a cubed is my highest exponent. Well, that means I also need an a squared. Well, I can't just go adding an a squared because then I change the value. How many a squareds are up here? There's not any. So we say there are 0 a squared. But we need that as a placeholder. Okay? My next lowest exponent would be a. How many a's are up here? 0 a's. And then my constant, he's good, okay? So that's what goes in my house. Notice the placeholders, and you'll see why we need them in a minute. Now, a minus 2 is fine. It's got an exponent of 1 and then a constant. So if anything were missing in the divisor, we would also have to do that placeholder thing. All right, so now we're ready. What's our steps? Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So we're going to divide a into 2a cubed. The 2 is just sort of there. And then a cubed divided by a, we subtract the exponents and we get a squared. Now we're going to multiply. 2a squared times a, 2a cubed. That should always match. And 2a squared times negative 2 is negative 4a squared. That's why we needed the placeholder, because we were going to have a product that gave us an a squared. So we have to have a placeholder there. So now we're going to subtract. 2a cubed minus 2a cubed, gone. That's exactly what we wanted. 0 minus a negative 4 becomes plus 4, so this is 4a squared. Now we're going to bring down the 0a. We divide again. A into 4a squared goes 4, and we subtract the exponents, we get 4a. We multiply. 4a times a, 4a squared. 4a times negative 2, negative 8a. We subtract. First term goes away, cancels. 0 minus a negative 8 becomes plus 8, so this is 8a. We're going to bring down. Now we divide again. A into 8a, the a's cancel, and we're left with 8. So 8a, that's my first multiply, 8 times a. Now 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. I subtract again. 8a minus 8a, gone. 5 minus a negative 16 is 21. This time I got a remainder. You used to get a remainder when you were dividing numbers, right? And here's what you do with the remainder. This is positive, so we say plus 21, and you put it over the divisor. So plus 21 over a minus 2. Okay, so if you get a remainder, they will often write it as the fraction that it is. It's 21 over a minus 2. You are ready for some practice.